So there's been a lot of noise about the changes that are coming in the care worker visa come 2024. I mean, in this year, 2024, and then on the skilled worker visa salary threshold as well. And I realized that there's been so many videos about this topic, so I don't even want to do a video about it because people already know. But it looks like when I check my comment section, people are still very confused and they just want me to talk about it. So now I have broken these rules down and these changes down to the simplest form for you to understand, honestly. And I'm going to make this video very brief, okay? So when it comes to the care worker visa changes and updates for 2024 and the skilled worker visa changes and updates for 2024, this is the summary you've been waiting for. After this video, you don't need any explanation from anybody else. You don't need any explanation. This is it. So if you're interested, stay tuned. Stop that. So hi guys, we all know that last year, 2023, the UK government said that they issued 100,000 care worker visas, okay? And this was accompanied by over 120,000 dependent visas. So in all, just for care worker visas alone, over 220,000 people came to the UK. And to them, this is quite alarming. And obviously because they brought out a 5-point plan to cut down net migration, okay? And one of their ways was to drastically reduce the care worker visa. And to them, the best way to do so was to stop care workers from bringing dependents in the UK. Initially, some of us were worried because we thought care workers included nurses, doctors, medical laboratory scientists, occupational therapists, blah, blah, blah. But apparently when they said care workers, they meant carers and senior care workers. And even to clarify, they gave the occupation code, okay, the shortest occupation code. For care workers, we all know that it was 6145, and for senior care workers, it was 6146. So this is the category of professions or category of people who can no longer bring dependents in the UK. So that is a clarification in terms of who this affects, okay? So people coming to work in the UK as domiciliary care workers, yes, you're affected. You fall under this category. People coming to work as care assistants, people coming to work as senior care assistants, nurse associates are not part of this, okay? So it's all those under the care assistants, care workers, senior care, domiciliary care, what care, all of you are affected by this. One thing that is worth mentioning is that if you're already on a care worker visa in the UK, let's say you came 2 months ago before this whole 5 points plan was set, or you came yesterday or whatever, if you're already on it, the new rules will not affect you, okay? It says care workers under the shortest occupation code 6145 and senior care workers with the shortest occupation code 6146 already in the UK under the health and care worker route will be allowed to remain with their dependent family members, including extending, changing employer within these codes and settlement, okay? So until settlement, all these new changes will not affect you. It would only affect those who got the visa after the new changes had already come into place. But let me go on. Where a care worker or senior care worker is in the route before the immigration rules change but has not yet brought the dependent, they will be allowed to bring dependents during their sponsorship on this visa. So if you're already here, I know that people were rushing to bring in their family members because they were scared that this was going to affect them. No, relax, okay? If you're not ready, let's say you don't even have a place yet to put your head, don't rush to go and bring them, because they are saying that so far as you were on this route, you already had the visa before the new changes came into full force, you are not affected. You'll still be allowed to bring your family, even if you intend to bring them 2 years from now or 3 years from now, because remember, it is when you had your visa, okay? Comparing it to when the new changes came into effect, okay? So it doesn't mean that so far as you have a care worker visa, you're no longer allowed to bring a dependent. Meanwhile, let's say you got it 5 years ago. No, you are still allowed to bring a dependent if only you had your visa before the changes came into effect. So that's another thing that you need to understand. Another thing is, if you are already in the UK on another type of visa, and let's say you get a care job in the UK and then you now want to switch, okay, but you are switching after this new immigration rules have come into effect, please, unfortunately for you, you'll not be allowed to bring any dependents. Talking about partners, talking about children, you will not be allowed to bring any dependents to the UK because you got your visa after the changes were made. So let's say you're in a student visa and your whole life you've been waiting to finish your school and get a certificate of sponsorship and then, you know, apply for care worker visa and stay in the UK. Unfortunately, you will not be allowed to bring a dependent. If you got your visa after the changes were made officially, you will not be able to bring a dependent. So what I will say is that you probably have to look for another route, okay, if you want to be able to bring a dependent or switch to another country or whatever. Unless you don't care about bringing dependents, then that's fine. But if you do care, unfortunately, once the immigration changes come into effect, even if you secure a certificate of sponsorship job as a care worker, you won't be allowed to bring your dependent, okay? Because you got your visa after the changes came into effect. But if you get the visa before the changes officially come into effect, you can still bring your partner and your kids. Then the next thing is that care providers who are sponsoring workers in exclusively non-regulated activities and therefore not required to be registered with the CQC before the rules change should be able to continue to sponsor these workers, including for extensions to their visa on those terms, but not to hire new ones. So now you know that the whole hiring of care workers and issuing of certificates of sponsorship will only be possible for companies that are regulated by the CQC. But if, let's say, you are on a private agency somewhere and you are still issuing certificates of sponsorships for people to be able to come to the UK to work as carers, and your organization is not regulated by the CQC, you will still be able to maintain those that are already on your visa. You can still sponsor them, right? They're already in the UK. You can still sponsor them. They can still extend their visa. They can apply for settlements when they are due, but you can just not hire new ones, unless, of course, you are now regulated by the CQC. That's when you can hire new people. So these are the major changes. And also, we know that they are saying that they are increasing the skilled worker minimum salary threshold from 26,200 to 38,700, okay? And people were worried, blah blah blah. So fortunately for skilled workers like nurses, this salary threshold does not affect us, okay? No, we are exempt, okay? So you don't have to be earning this before you can get a certificate of sponsorship to come to the UK. For those who don't know what this means that to be able to get a job as a skilled worker from any part of the world to come to the UK, the job should be paying this amount per year, 38,700, before you be eligible to travel to the UK on a skilled worker visa. This means that a lot of employers will not be able to offer this amount of money. So they would only really employ foreign nationals that they really need. They would rather increase their amount a little for people already in the UK. They will not be able to employ or sponsor foreign nationals that much like they used to, because they might not be able to pay this much for people. You understand? So now that is where the headache is. However, people who are coming to the UK to work on a health and care worker visa are exempt. Care workers are exempt, nurses are exempt, medical laboratory scientists are exempt, doctors are exempt. All those on a health and care worker visa are exempt from this salary threshold. So for us, they can still pay us peanuts and it won't be a problem. We'll still be eligible for a health and care worker visa under the skilled worker visa. However, other people like accountants, IT personnel, blah blah blah, they will need to be paid 38,700 before they'll be eligible to get the skilled worker visa. There's another exemption. It also says that those on national pay scales are also exempt. So for instance, teachers are also exempt. Teachers are on a national pay scale, so they are also exempt. Another thing is that if you're already in the UK on a skilled worker visa, before the new changes come into effect, you're also exempt from the salary threshold when you're extending your visa or when you are changing your sponsor. Okay, when you're changing your employer, you can still change your employer. You can apply it for indefinite leave to remain, or you can extend your visa. Let's say you were given 3 years initially, you can still extend your visa without having to meet the new salary threshold of 38,700. So far as you had your initial visa before these changes came into effect. So those are the new things that you have to be aware of. So summary, 1, the only people affected by this new rule is care workers and senior care workers when it comes to not being able to bring dependents anymore from spring of 2024. And then secondly as well, if you're already on a health and care worker visa, so far as you had the visa before these rules were made, you can still bring your dependent without having any issues. If you switch to a care worker visa after the changes have been made, unfortunately for you, you will not be able to bring your dependent. And then companies that were sponsoring individuals but were not under CQC, you can still keep sponsoring those people you had, but once the new rule comes into effect, you can no longer hire new people. When it comes to the skilled worker salary threshold, people under national pay scales are not affected, like teachers are not affected. Those under the health and care worker visas are not affected. And if you already held a skilled worker visa, let's say you're already in the UK as an accountant, when you're applying to extend your visa, even though the new changes may already be in effect, because you already had your visa before the changes came into effect, you will not be affected. But let me also add that they are saying that spring, right? And spring is a period from March to May, okay? However, it says that the new changes is likely to be implemented from April of 2024, okay? So guys, bear that in mind. So these are all, you see how simple it is? It's not that confusing. I've also done a video about the good news for those that are applying for their skilled worker visas in January 2024. And I've also done a video about all you need to know about the updates concerning family visas. I'll leave links here so that you can watch, okay? So thank you so much guys for watching today's video. Bye.